Everyone tells you buying a house is the smartest financial move you can make. What if they're wrong? Your parents told you. Your friends told you. Every financial advisor, every real estate agent, every well-meaning person in your life has repeated the same thing. Rent is throwing money away, and owning a home is how you build real wealth. But here's the problem. That advice was built for a different era, a different economy, and a completely different financial reality than the one most people are living in today. And for millions of people who followed it blindly, buying a house didn't build wealth, it destroyed it. Slowly, quietly, and in ways they never saw coming. Now, before you close this video thinking this is an attack on homeownership, it's not. Buying a house can absolutely be the right move, but only under the right conditions, at the right time, for the right reasons. And the problem is that most people never ask those questions. They just follow the script. And following the script with one of the biggest financial decisions of your life, without actually running the numbers, is one of the most expensive mistakes a person can make. Today, we're going to break down what nobody tells you about buying a house. Not to scare you, but to make sure that if you do it with your eyes completely open. Let's start with the math that nobody does before signing a mortgage. When you buy a $400,000 house with a 30-year mortgage at a 6% interest rate, you don't pay $400,000 for that house. You pay closer to $860,000 by the time the last payment clears. That's more than double the purchase price, paid entirely in interest to a bank over 3 decades. And that number doesn't include property taxes, homeowners insurance, maintenance costs, HOA fees, or the inevitable repairs that every house demands over time. Studies consistently show that the true all-in cost of homeownership runs between 1 and 2% of the home's value every single year just in maintenance alone. On a $400,000 house, that's between $4,000 and $8,000 per year, on top of your mortgage, just to keep the house from falling apart. A new roof, a broken HVAC, plumbing issues, foundation problems. These aren't rare exceptions. They are the predictable reality of owning a physical structure that ages every single day. And here's the part that really changes the math. A house is not a liquid asset. If you need that money, you cannot access it quickly without selling the property or taking on more debt. Compare that to someone who invests the same amount in a diversified portfolio. They can access their money, rebalance, and respond to life changes with a flexibility that a homeowner simply does not have. The house owns you far more than you own it. And understanding that dynamic before you sign is everything. Let me show you 2 paths with real numbers. Meet Marcus and Derek. Both are 30 years old. Both have $80,000 saved. Both earn $85,000 a year. Same starting point. Very different decisions. Marcus buys a $400,000 house. He puts his $80,000 down as a 20% down payment. His monthly mortgage payment comes to roughly $1,900. Add property taxes, insurance, and average maintenance, and his true monthly cost of homeownership is closer to $2,800. Over the next 30 years, Marcus builds equity as he pays down his mortgage. His house appreciates at the historical average of about 3 to 4% per year. By the time he's 60, his house is worth approximately $1.2 million, and he owns it outright. On paper, that looks incredible. Derek rents a comparable place for $1,800 a month. The $1,000 monthly difference between his rent and what Marcus pays, plus his $80,000 in savings, goes into a diversified index fund averaging 7% annual returns. Over 30 years, Derek's investment portfolio grows to approximately $2.4 million. That's twice what Marcus's house is worth, with full liquidity, zero maintenance costs, and complete geographic flexibility to live wherever opportunity takes him. Now Marcus isn't wrong for buying, and Derek isn't right for renting. The point is that the math is far more nuanced than renting is throwing money away. In many markets, at many moments, renting and investing the difference builds significantly more wealth than buying. And that's the conversation most people never have before making the biggest financial commitment of their lives. Here's the deeper layer that nobody wants to talk about, because it hits uncomfortably close to home for a lot of people. The pressure to buy a house is not purely financial. It's deeply emotional and intensely social. And in many cases, it is that emotional and social pressure not actual financial readiness, that drives people into one of the largest commitments of their lives. Think about the messages we receive from the moment we're old enough to understand money. Homeownership equals stability. Homeownership equals success. Homeownership equals being a real adult who has their life together. Renting, on the other hand, is framed as temporary, immature, and financially irresponsible. Something you do until you're ready to do the real thing. These aren't just opinions. They are deeply embedded cultural narratives that most people absorb without ever questioning. And then there's the social pressure. When your friends start buying houses, you feel the timeline accelerating. When your parents ask when you're going to stop renting, the question carries weight. When every social gathering includes conversations about square footage and neighborhood appreciation, staying out of the market starts to feel like falling behind, even if the numbers in your specific situation say otherwise. The result is that millions of people buy houses they can't truly afford, in markets that don't make financial sense for their income, at stages of life where flexibility would serve them far better than a 30-year commitment. All because they were following a cultural script that was never designed to account for their individual financial reality. Buying a house should be a calculated financial decision. Far too often, it's an emotional one. So when does buying a house actually make sense? Because this video is not telling you to never buy. It's telling you to buy smart, and to know exactly what you're getting into before you sign anything. Buying makes sense when you plan to stay in the same city for at least 7 to 10 years. The break-even point on most home purchases, the moment when owning actually becomes cheaper than renting, is typically between 5 and 8 years when you factor in all the upfront costs, closing fees, and early mortgage interest. If there's any real chance you'll move before that window, the math almost never works in the buyer's favor. Buying makes sense when the price-to-rent ratio in your market is reasonable. Divide the purchase price of a home by the annual rent for a comparable property. If that number is below 15, buying is generally favorable. If it's above 20, renting and investing the difference is almost always the stronger financial move. In cities like San Francisco, New York, or London, that ratio regularly exceeds 30, which means the math heavily favors renters in those markets, regardless of what cultural pressure says. And buying makes sense when you have genuine financial stability, not just enough for a down payment, but enough to absorb the inevitable costs that come after. The rule of thumb is simple. If buying a house would leave you house rich and cash poor, you are not ready. A home should fit into your financial life. It should never become your entire financial life. Know the numbers. Run the math. Then decide. If this video made you think differently about a decision you've been assuming was obvious, good. That discomfort is valuable. Because the most expensive financial mistakes people make are almost never the ones they agonized over. They're the ones that felt so culturally normal, so universally endorsed, that nobody ever stopped to question them. Buying a house can be a powerful financial move. In the right market, at the right time, with the right financial foundation underneath you, it absolutely can be. But it can also be the decision that locks you into a lifestyle you can't afford to change, in a city you might want to leave, with a financial flexibility you no longer have, for 30 years. That's not a decision to make because your parents expect it, or because your friends are doing it, or because someone told you that renting is throwing money away. Run your numbers. Know your price-to-rent ratio. Know your break-even timeline. Know what your true all-in monthly cost actually is. Not just the mortgage payment, but everything that comes with owning a physical structure that ages every single day. And then make the decision that actually fits your financial reality, not the one that fits the cultural script. If this hit differently for you, if it challenged something you'd always assumed was true, subscribe. Every week we go deeper on the financial decisions that most people make on autopilot. And drop a comment below. Are you currently renting or owning? And after watching this, do you think you made the right call? I read every single one.